Wiring and easy aren't two words that normally go together in a sentence. And when it comes to electronics, half of your audience switches off immediately because they're not interested or they deemed it too difficult. But this should be really easy. I hope so anyway. So recently I've been on the lookout for some ground shunt signals, and I've decided at this moment in time, in my honest opinion, these are the best value on the market. For just under £30, for four, working out at about £7.50 each, that makes them very affordable. I bought the extension pack that comes without the control circuit board that's on this picture now, and it's something that I think is not necessary. Layout Concepts think so also, because on the back of the packet they tell you how to install it without that board. So a couple of things before we start. In the shot a moment or two ago you only saw 3 signals in the packet. That's because I installed one on the layout before I decided to do the video. Secondly, my wiring isn't exactly neat, and I am completely 100% self-taught in all of my electronics. So don't take anything I say for granted or gospel. What we're going to do first is a little bit of an experiment on a test rig that I've set up just to see how these things work. And then after that we'll do the installation proper. So on the instructions it says cut off the little connector. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to strip the ends of the wire just here, and then tin the ends of the wires so that they're easier to solder to other components. In the packet are 12 resistors, 4 each of 3 different values. For proper installation you only need 1 per signal, and it matters not which one you use, the only difference being how bright the signal is. For our little experiment test rig thing, I'm going to attach 2 to 1 signal, 1 to each wire. Prop our little signal up, and then with our 9-volt battery touch the 2 cables that we've attached the resistors to one to each terminal, and lo and behold our signal works. Flip the polarity of the battery and it works in the opposite direction as well. Before going any further, I'm just going to unsolder and put to one side the resistors we temporarily attached to the wires at the bottom of this signal. Installing everything onto the layout, we are going to need a switch to swap the polarity of the battery or power supply. For that, we're going to have to use a specific type of switch. That is a double pole changeover, DPCO. Well, that's what I would have called it years ago, but apparently these days it's DPDT. It has 6 connections on the bottom, and as you can see it flicks from one side to the other, effectively on and on, like it says on the switch body. I think it's time for another one of my super fandango animated sketches to show you exactly what we're going to do here. So on the left is the signal with the 2 wires coming out the bottom, and in the middle is the switch with the 6 pins on the bottom. First of all, we're going to extend the wires from the signal to the center pins on the switch. Then from our power source we're going to connect the negative or black wire to the top left pin on the switch, and then loop it round to the bottom right pin. With the positive we're going to attach the resistor to the top right pin and then loop it round to the bottom left pin, and that's it. It looks complicated, but it isn't. It really isn't. So in reality that looks like this: soldering the wires from the signal onto the middle terminals of the switch, then for the black wire, top left and looped to the bottom right. This looks awfully messy as well, but presentation counts for nothing when it's all hidden under the baseboards. And the red wire, the positive to the top right and looped to the bottom left, resulting in wiring spaghetti. Looks terrible. Not forgetting to solder the resistor to the red wire, that's the positive, before attaching to our power supply, in this case going to be my 9-volt battery again. Installing the switch onto our temporary control panel, and it works, regardless of how messy it looks underneath. That's pretty much it for this video, but there's so much more that we can do with just the addition of another switch, a different type of switch. This one is a 4-pole changeover switch, essentially 4 switches with one actuator, 12 pins on the bottom. Because our operating position might not be able to see the face of the signal, and the signal itself might be several feet from our control panel, with the addition of this switch we can add quite easily an indicator LED on our control panel. That means we don't actually need to see the face of the signal or remember in which orientation we've installed the switch. We can just rely on the LEDs on the control panel. How did I do it? Easy. Let's revert back to our animated schematic, and I've drawn the 12-pin switch with our signal joined to the left side. All I'm going to do is mirror the wiring from the power source onto the right hand side of the switch, and then join the middle 2 pins to the LEDs. I've just made a mistake here, but I'll rectify that in a second. So they need to go, the 2 LEDs have got 2 wires, but would join the opposite 2 wires together. I've got these pre-wired LEDs that are available readily on eBay and other sites. They've also got a resistor already soldered on as well. So I take the red wire of the red LED and the black wire of the green LED, solder them together and join them to 1 pin on the switch, and the same for the opposite 2 wires on the other side. Because electricity only flows one way through an LED, that's how we get them to swap when we switch the switch, because it changes the polarity from left to right, so to speak. Because there's many different ways of doing stuff electronically, there is more than one way to do this. The way that I've done it in this video is the easiest way that I can explain it, and the simplest way that I can think of how to do it. Because there's many different ways of operating signals and points on a layout, a control panel, each individual way of doing it might be slightly different. So for me, on my layout, because I run the Megapoint system, which uses push buttons and servos, the indicator LEDs on the control panel aren't really an issue. They come straight off of the circuit board. I have to use a servo and micro switches in place of the actual switch that we've used earlier. I could have used a relay driver, but I prefer to do it the way that I've done it. We'll discuss switches and push buttons and other methods of altering electricity's path in the next time I do a control panel video, which I'm on the cusp of doing. I've already planned it out. I just need to film the footage and get it edited. That really is the end of this one now. Thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too complicated, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.